Delta in manufacturing with Schultz, who manufactures some of the finest pipe for the transportation of hydrocarbon in the world. Just recently Fourier, which will make the drive shaft for the Cummins engine that will go in the Titan pickup truck that will be manufactured by Nissan in Canton, Mississippi. So we are making sure that as we bring manufacturing to the Delta, not forgetting the importance of agribusiness, but also realizing that we must have a trained workforce. Today we will announce a $1.7 million investment to help in organizing grassroots training for local public officials and community colleges to bring together workforce training in the Mississippi Delta. I'm going to call on Chairman Chris Massengale today. As the way the Delta Regional Authority is established, there is a chairman of the states, which is normally a governor. This year I have the pleasure and honor of being state chairman for the Delta Regional Authority. My federal counterpart in that is Chris Massengale. He has been a wonderful partner in this, and we are honored to have him here today. Chris, I'll call on you to come forward and start the program. Thank you.
Well, good morning again, everyone. Governor, let me say thank you so much for your leadership in being the state's co-chair and representing the other governors on our board. I'll tell you that Mississippi is lucky to have Governor Bryant on the DRA board. He has a passion for the Delta region, he has a passion for Mississippi, and he certainly has a passion for workforce development. We know in the world of economic development, Jay Moon can talk about this all day long, and the governor was smart to appoint a guy like that at the head of your state workforce investment board, because he knows a few things about economic development and workforce training. And we know that when we talk about workforce training and education, there is not a more important issue to helping to create jobs and grow our economy and making sure that we have a pipeline of skilled workers for not only this great state of Mississippi, but also the entire region. And when we got together with the board members, one of our congressional responsibilities is workforce development training. And we fund a lot of individual programs, everything from welding to specific job training that's connected to business and industry in a particular location. We do that. In fact, we have helped leverage almost $40 million worth of workforce training programs in the Delta region today. But we wanted to take that a step further. We know that every governor has this issue in their states, and particularly taking the lead with Governor Bryant, Mississippi has done a good job of providing some leadership on increasing the ability of skilled workers for our region. And so we said, you know what, we're going to team up. We're going to team up with Ted Abernathy, the Southern Growth Policy Board, now a part of the Southern Governors Association. And they did a report that we released in September. And we're now taking that on the road. And we're doing two things today. One is that we're announcing the fact that we're going to have these convenings in all 8 states to talk about how we can better align, we can better connect, we can better coordinate as a system instead of individual components of workforce training and education. Everything from local economic developers to the educational systems that help produce our skilled workers. The second thing is that we needed to put some resources behind that. So when you look at the report and reimagine how we want to do workforce development in our individual states, we want to do it as a system. We want to do it both from the supply side and the demand side. So we have put together some resources, $1.7 million, that will be used for capacity building and technical assistance at the local level. For local economic developers, workforce investment professionals, chambers of commerce, nonprofits, 2-year colleges to come together and go, look, how can we better align our system to use these resources to maybe put additional programs in place to issue more certified work-ready certificates, to increase the ability for us to produce the work keys assessment, to put different various plans in place at the local level that's a part of a greater system. And we're going to do this all over the region. And obviously we're going to try to make sure that every state is represented in this effort so they can have this technical assistance resources to expand the ability to create a stronger system, which ultimately means we're going to be more responsive to the needs of business and industry. That we're going to have to make sure that we are aligned with all the resources that are in play when we talk about workforce education and training. That's what we're doing. And this report is very important because it talks about that. It talks about the various components of the things that we think is important from an economic development standpoint to help grow our economy, to help grow our jobs, and to make sure when people know that they want a skilled workforce, they come to Mississippi. They come to the Delta region because they know we're open for business, because we can provide the best trained workforce in the world, not just in the United States. So Governor Bryant, thank you for partnering with me today, and I'm going to turn this back over and we'll listen to Ted Abernathy.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here today. When we did this report at the Southern Growth Policy Board about a year ago, it was the last report we did before our merger with the Southern Governors Association. Our organization had been around 40 years, and workforce was the first thing we worked on and the last thing we worked on. At Southern Governors now, we continue to work on this issue, and we all know that since the 1990s, job growth has slowed in America and in the Delta, and we have issues that we have to deal with. It's funny that we all know the things we all know, and the thing we most know is that the world changed on us over the last 20 years. The Southern economy changed. I mean, the Great Recession left us with a lot of holes in our economy that we need to fill. We know that globalization changed the rules of competition. We have to compete with everybody for every job, everywhere, every day. And that's really a change for a lot of us. Workforce demographics shifted. And life cycles shifted. We no longer go to school and get all the skills we're going to need for a lifetime and then retire. It's not the way it works anymore. We have to reskill continuously. The talent that business expects changed. The skill sets have changed dramatically along the way. The tools for learning have changed with technology today. And most of all, our expectations have changed. We have an expectation now that the return on investment for our workforce dollars is going to yield high-end results. And we want to measure it. Jay and I were talking before the thing about how hard it is to do that and yet how important it is. So the report talks about changing the way we imagine workforce in general. It talks about job readiness, reimagine what readiness means. And what readiness means today is quantifying skills. It means somehow or another strengthening the connection between education and job skills. That connection has always been assumed, but has never been direct or required. It's rethinking what a credential is. I mean, how do you measure what type of skills any of us have? And how do we do that in a community? Because businesses looking to employ want to be able to measure that. We're reimagining who's in the workforce. Today, we're struggling in America with our declining workforce participation rate. We can't give up on young people. 1 out of 7 isn't either in school or in the workforce. They're not at my house, in my basement, but at some people's they are. So how do we deal with the youth that have become disenfranchised and are no longer part? How do we get them skills that work? But also, how do we get 45-year-olds? It's really hard for a 45-year-old to re-engage our workforce system. Going back to college scares them to death. But what do we want? 45-year-olds that for the next 20 years don't have the skills to be successful? And then we have to realign the relationships. There has to be a continuum in education and training that take you through your life from learning. And it starts with your parents, or your grandparents, or whoever's helping you at home. And then it involves your kindergarten teacher and your 4th grade teacher and your community college teacher and the person at the local training program. But how we realign those, there has to be, the fancy word is matriculation. When you graduate 12th grade, you need to be ready for 13th grade. When you graduate community college, you need to be job ready. And so how do we build those relationships, and how do we engage business in a meaningful way? Everybody has been saying for the whole 40 years of my career, got to engage business. Well, we did. But how do we get them engaged in curriculum development? And as Chairman Massinger said, demand side is the way things have changed. The biggest change that we're seeing is chambers of commerce, business groups are all in the middle now saying, all right, the supply side is that people need jobs, need more skills, need to earn a living. The demand side is that businesses need employees to make them productive, to allow them to grow and stay in the Delta. Now, ideally, what a workforce system does is match those two needs, builds the continuum that makes them touch. So a demand side has to have a formal education system that understands those skills. It also has to have employees or prospective workers who understand what they need to be. What are the skills that are in demand? What are the jobs that are going to grow? What do I need to get that? If we can build the demand and supply side together, then we're going to have a system that works better. Now, what $1.7 million does is build the collaborative capacity to allow the two sides to touch. How do you build the middle? And that's always been missing, quite honestly. You know, we don't have the stuff in the middle to connect this. And with this new investment, what we're trying to do is build real connectivity at the local level between what businesses need, what employees need, or prospective employees need to be successful. And I'm looking forward to working with the governor and the Delta Regional Authority, and also being able to help at the local level. Look forward to the state summits in all 8 of the states over the next few months, and it's going to be a hot, productive summer in the Delta region. Thank you.
Good, thank you. As we reimagine our workforce development, one of the things that we have done is create Mississippi Works. Our app, as you hopefully all know, is available to you at Mississippi Works, absolutely free. You can download the jobs that are available today. There are 22,894 jobs available in the state of Mississippi. You can then say search for a job. I've put in welder earlier. It will take you to how many jobs are available for welders. As you click on here's one in Flowood, Mississippi, it shows you a map of how to get there and who to contact to get that job. This is a remarkable tool for those that are looking for work. This was developed with Jay Moon's help at the State Workforce Investment Board and the State Longitudinal Data System. And so we are using the very most advanced technology available to find jobs and to find those who are available and well-trained to take those jobs. That is part of the reimagining the workforce of the future. I'm going to call Jay Moon forward to talk a little bit about the Workforce Investment Board and the State Longitudinal Data System. Jay?
Thank you, Governor. Good morning to everybody. Let me first congratulate the Delta Regional Authority for this initiative. We certainly are looking forward to working with them. And as the Governor has said, and as Chris and Ted have both indicated, workforce development is the #1 issue in economic development today. And we really have to put more and more emphasis on that area. Now, during the day, I represent manufacturers across the state. And this is the #1 issue area that they repeatedly tell me they can't find skilled workers, that we need to enhance the quality of the skills that our employees have and prospective employees have for manufacturing. Manufacturing is absolutely critical to the economy of this nation and critical to the state of Mississippi. We at the Manufacturers Association represent some 2,200 manufacturers and thousands of employees. These are great, high-paying jobs with great benefits. And under the governor's leadership, we have been able to add significantly to the number of manufacturers in advanced manufacturing with higher skill sets that have come into the state. He mentioned Schultz, but there's a number of others across the state. And certainly throughout the Delta, we have a number of great manufacturers that are expanding their employee opportunities, and we're going to continue to work on that. As the governor mentioned, he's asked me, and I was very honored to be the chair of the State Workforce Investment Board. For those of you who are not familiar with that, it's largely a private sector board that looks at working with all of the various providers of workforce training and skill development throughout the state. So we work with the secondary school system, we work with our community colleges. And with the governor's leadership last year, we were able to add another $8 million through the community colleges for training. This past session, we had a major piece of legislation that added another $4 million to the community colleges on top of the $17 million that they get already on an annual basis for workforce development and skills training throughout the state. And we're going to be looking at developing new programs such as career awareness programs, where we reach down into the secondary school level and begin to talk to 5th graders and 6th graders about what their career choices might be. We're going to be stair-stepping that around the state. So we really look forward to working with the Delta Regional Authority. This initiative that they have, I think, couldn't be better timed, and we're going to be adding it to the number of programs that we already have available. The State Workforce Investment Board is going to be a part of that process, and we look forward to overall increasing the workforce development skills that we have in our state in order to ensure that we continue to attract the best programs and companies that come into the state of Mississippi and also to work with those that are already here. The governor and I had an opportunity to attend a board of directors meeting with Caterpillar just this past week. Major company, 4 different locations, 1,600 employees. Those are the great kind of companies of the future. We're going to continue to work on them, with them, help them to develop and expand their opportunities. And this initiative in the Delta area is going to significantly add to that as well. So thank you very much. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Jay, for the work you do. That meeting with the Caterpillar Board of Directors was in Corinth, Mississippi. Just shortly after that, I met with Mars, the CEO of Mars Company, Uncle Ben's Rice in the Delta. We talked with Baxter, which is one of the major medical equipment manufacturers there located in the Mississippi Delta. I will tell you as we leave that the meeting in the Mississippi Delta for a reimagining workforce will be at Coahoma County Community College on Monday, September the 8th. In Clarksdale, Mississippi. We will begin there with that training effort in this collaborative effort. I cannot emphasize to you just how important it is today as you see the Delta Regional Authority, the Southern Governors Association, the State Workforce Investment Board, and the Governor's Office, and our community college system working together to reimagine how we go about training and developing and enhancing our workforce. Today is a day that will change the future of the state of Mississippi. It seems I've lived through some historic moments. Some have been noticed and some have gone virtually unnoticed or ignored. Today seems to be one of those that perhaps will not be long remembered, except by those of us that know the importance of this day and this collaborative effort and what it will mean to hundreds of thousands of Mississippians who obtain jobs because of the training opportunities as we go about with the Southern Growth Policy Board and others to reimagine our workforce. Thank you for being here today. All of us will be here to answer any further questions you might have. Thank you so much for coming.